The champagne flutes glinted under the rooftop string lights, catching the last of the Manhattan sunset. Soft jazz curled through the air, mingling with the laughter of the 30 people I'd handpicked for this night, my 35th birthday. For once, I'd dared to believe it could be mine. No family crises, no last-minute rescues, no one else's chaos to mop up. Just me, Dory Ellis, standing at the edge of a moment I'd carved out for myself. I wore a sleek black dress that hugged my frame, my hair swept into a loose chignon, and a smile I hadn't rehearsed. The city skyline stretched before me, a glittering promise of something new. I should have known better. My name is Dory, and for most of my life, I've been the invisible scaffolding holding up a family that never bothered to look up. I paid for my sister Yela's half-finished college degree, bailed out my parents' mortgage after my father's real estate empire crumbled, and footed the bill for Yela's endless emergencies, each one more theatrical than the last. I was the fixer, the financier, the one who never said no, but tonight, on this rooftop, I thought I'd finally claimed a sliver of my own light. I was wrong. The first hint of trouble came when Yela stood up, her champagne flute raised like a scepter. She wore a white dress that screamed bride-to-be, her influencer-perfect curls catching the light. Her smile was too wide, too polished, the kind she practiced in front of mirrors. "Before Dory gives her little speech," she said, her voice dripping with charm, "I have an announcement." The crowd leaned in, expectant. I froze, my glass halfway to my lips. "Oscar and I are engaged." Applause erupted, glasses clinked. My mother, Celeste, dabbed at her eyes with a napkin, her diamond bracelet flashing. My father, Richard, barely looked up from his phone, his face a mask of disinterest. Yela's fiancé, Oscar, grinned beside her, his hand resting possessively on her waist. The crowd surged toward them, a tide of congratulations swallowing the moment I'd planned. But Yela wasn't done. She turned to me, her eyes gleaming with something I couldn't quite name. "And guess what? My amazing big sister Dory is going to be my maid of honor, and she's covering the whole wedding. We're getting married in Santorini." The words hit like a slap. The crowd cheered again, their eyes swinging to me, expectant, as if I'd been waiting for this cue my whole life. I felt the familiar burn in my throat, the weight of their assumptions pressing down. They thought I'd nod, smile, and pay. They thought I'd play my role. I forced a laugh, raised my glass, and said, "Of course, congratulations." But inside something snapped, not loudly, not violently, just a quiet, final click, like a lock sliding into place. I was done. The rest of the night blurred into a haze of polite smiles and backhanded hugs. Guests congratulated me as if bankrolling a destination wedding was a privilege, not a theft. Yela basked in the spotlight, her laughter sharp and bright, while Celeste clung to her side, whispering about guest lists and photographers. Richard retreated to a corner, his phone glowing in the dark. At one point, Yela leaned in close, her perfume cloying. "You're not mad, are you? I mean, this is big, Dory. I couldn't wait to tell everyone." I looked at her, really looked, and saw the truth. She didn't care. She never had. 4 years younger, effortlessly beautiful, Yela had always been the sun in our family's orbit, while I was the shadow that made her shine. I'd paid for her college, $28,400.00. Her rhinoplasty after a breakup, $12,700.00. And countless other emergencies, clothes, flights, handouts, $30,000.00 and counting. The total I'd calculated was $216,412.00, not including interest, not including the pieces of myself I'd lost along the way. "I'm not mad," I said, my voice steady. "I'm happy for you." She beamed and flounced off, oblivious to the lie. But it wasn't just a lie. It was the first move in a game she didn't know we were playing. That night, as the last guests trickled out and the rooftop grew quiet, I poured myself a glass of wine and opened my laptop. The folder was labeled Contributions, a spreadsheet I'd kept for years, every dime meticulously logged. I stared at the number, $216,412.00, until it stopped being a sum and started being a motive. They thought I'd cave again. They thought I'd pay for Santorini, for Yela's dream wedding, for their endless entitlement. They didn't know I was already packing my bags. They didn't know I was burning the playbook they'd written for me. And they didn't know about the lie I was about to weave. A lie so perfect, it would unravel their world while I built mine anew. The next morning, I walked into brunch at Le Jardin, my smile as polished as ever. Celeste was already seated, flipping through a bridal magazine like it was her own engagement. Richard sat across from her, scrolling through emails, his face etched with the same detachment I'd known since childhood. Yela arrived 20 minutes late, her engagement ring flashing as she waved dramatically. "So," she said, sliding into the booth, "have you called the venue yet?" "They need the deposit by Monday." I sipped my coffee, slow and deliberate. "Of course. I'll handle it." That was all they needed. They didn't ask how, when, or if I could afford it. They never did. To them, I was a bottomless well, always there to draw from. But that afternoon, I confirmed my transfer to our company's European office in Barcelona, a move I'd been quietly orchestrating for 3 months. I'd signed the lease on a sunlit apartment in the Gothic Quarter, scheduled movers and listed my Manhattan place with a realtor. By Monday, I'd closed every joint account Yela had access to, canceled the credit cards I'd co-signed, and watched the notifications roll in. Transaction declined. Card no longer valid. Insufficient funds. Yela texted in a panic, "Hey sis, something's wrong with the joint card. Can you fix it?" "Looking into it," I replied. "Must be a bank error. Don't worry, I've got it." Then I opened a new spreadsheet. Phase 2, dismantle gently. The plan was simple but surgical. Fake vendor emails, mock contracts, bogus schedules. I photoshopped a venue confirmation from a non-existent Santorini planner named Elena Papadopoulos, complete with a professional letterhead and a Greek phone number that led to a burner voicemail. Yela ate it up. One evening, she barged into my office, vibrating with excitement. "The planner says we need to move on floral design. Do you have the number for that Athens vendor?" "Elena's finalizing her quote," I said without missing a beat. "She can knock 20 grand off if we confirm this week." Yela's eyes lit up. "See, I knew you'd make it perfect." She kissed my cheek and floated out, oblivious to the web I was spinning. Meanwhile, I packed. My Barcelona lease was finalized, my movers on standby, my HR department fed a cover story about a Phoenix leadership retreat. Even Oscar started calling, his voice tight with anxiety about deposits and timelines. "Don't worry," I told him each time. "It's all under control." But it wasn't, and that was the point. The first crack appeared 2 weeks before my departure. Yela called 5 times in one day, frantic about the bridesmaid dresses. The boutique claimed they hadn't received a deposit. "But I told them you'd handle it," she whined in a voicemail. "You said you'd call Elena." I didn't call back. Instead, I texted. "Meetings all day. We'll circle back tonight. Everything's under control." That phrase was my shield, vague enough to reassure, strong enough to delay. At work, I hid my real projects behind fake vendor timelines, even creating a decoy event planning folder in case anyone snooped. Meanwhile, I met weekly with my Barcelona manager over encrypted calls, finalizing my transfer. 3 weeks out, and they still had no idea. Then Oscar showed up at my office, unannounced. He flashed a smile he thought was charming, settling into my guest chair. "Just wanted to check in. Make sure everything's on track. Yela's a little overwhelmed." I nodded, my face a mask. "Completely on track." Great. His eyes flicked to my screen, searching for something he couldn't name. You're a lifesaver, Dory. We'd be lost without you. I smiled, even as I imagined torching his fake charm. After he left, I updated my detonation schedule, a color-coded countdown to my disappearance. Flights confirmed, assets moved to an offshore account, mail forwarding in place. They weren't just going to be surprised. They were going to be erased. Simone, my best friend since college, called that night. They still buying it? Hook, line, and mortgage, I said, flipping through a childhood photo album. Yayla, always center stage, me just out of frame. Dory, you sure? You don't want to just tell them off? Explode in public? That's their language. Chaos, tears, drama. I speak in consequences, I said, and we both laughed. But I'd rehearsed every step, every lie, every withdrawal. For once, I wasn't reacting. I was leading. The bridal shower was the turning point. Yayla had announced it would be at my apartment, invitations sent, balloons ordered, her Instagram story captioned, "Can't wait to celebrate at my sister's place tomorrow. She always makes everything magical." What she didn't know was that my apartment had sold 3 days earlier. I was already in Barcelona, sipping café con leche on my new balcony, the Mediterranean sun warming my face. Simone, my eyes on the ground, sent updates like a war correspondent. "They're here," Yayla screaming at the doorman, "your mom's fake crying into a lace napkin." "Let me guess," I texted. "She's saying I forgot my hosting duties." "Nope. She just asked the new owners to let her in because her daughter lives there." "Correction," I said back. "You used to live there." The retired couple who'd bought my place had moved in the day before. When Yayla tried to force her way in, they called the building manager. When the manager refused to help, she called me 6 times, then texted, "What the hell is going on? Why are there strangers in your apartment?" I didn't answer. Instead, I posted an Instagram story. A cobblestone alley, red-tiled balconies, a sangria in my hand. Caption, "Freedom tastes like citrus and silence." 10 minutes later, my phone exploded. Missed calls from Yayla, Celeste, Richard, even Oscar. Emails flooded in. Where are the deposits? Why isn't anyone answering at the venue? Have you confirmed the caterer? The wedding planner CC'd me. We will be canceling all arrangements unless we receive payment by I stayed silent. Simone's updates kept coming. Yayla's crying in the lobby now. She called Oscar. Useless. He looks ready to bolt. Your mom's asking the doorman if you've had a mental breakdown. I laughed, sipping my sangria. They thought I was dependable, controllable. They thought I'd keep playing their game. But I'd burned the board. Yayla didn't give up. The morning after the shower disaster, she sent a flurry of messages. "I'm flying to Barcelona. We need to fix this together. I know you're upset, but you don't have to run away. Please, Dory, just explain why you're doing this." I didn't answer. Simone confirmed her flight number, but I already knew Yayla's passport had expired 5 years ago. Weeks earlier, I'd filed a report with the Spanish consulate, flagging Yayla as a financial liability, based on her unpaid debts and suspicious transactions. It was her mess, documented and real, turned against her. When she landed in Madrid, she was pulled into secondary screening. Simone's airport contact sent a video. Yayla, red-faced, waving bridal mood boards at a customs officer, sobbing in 2 languages. She was escorted to the next flight home, her plans in ashes. That night, I met Jerome for dinner. Yes, that Jerome who'd left me 2 years ago because I was too married to my family's problems. Watching me dismantle those problems had rekindled something in him, or maybe he just missed my cooking. We drank Rioja on a rooftop, Barcelona glittering below. "You're glowing," he said. "That's called peace," I replied. "It's new." My phone buzzed. Yayla. I showed Jerome the screen. "Showtime." "Let her speak," he said. "But only once," I answered, putting her on speaker. Her voice cracked. You planned this. You knew I couldn't get into Spain. You're right, I said calmly. I did. But you've always helped me. Not any. A pause. What am I supposed to do now? Start with a job. Maybe 2. You've got bills to pay. Another pause. Then she tried a new tactic. Oscar left. He said I lied to him, that I never confirmed the venue, that I forged your signature. Did you? I was trying to buy time. You said you'd handle it. Oh, you said I would, and then you forged my name. Silence. I opened my laptop, pulling up scanned documents. Signatures, emails, texts. You're in real trouble, Yayla. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Oscar says he's filing charges. Good. Maybe that'll get your attention. And Mom and Dad? They're devastated. They said you broke the family. They may said that when I refused to co-sign their kitchen remodel loan. Forgive me if I'm unmoved. Her breathing was ragged. I'm sorry, Dory. Really, I didn't know how bad it was. You didn't care to know. That's the difference. I hung up. 2 hours later, she messaged again. Please, just one more chance. I replied, 1 chance is all you ever got. The fallout was swift. Oscar's lawyer emailed, requesting a statement for the fraud case. I sent everything. Documents, screenshots, payment records. Within an hour, Yayla had signed a confession for a reduced settlement. That same day, a viral wedding blog posted the story, Scammer Bride of Barcelona, the $200 0 K fantasy that crashed and burned. Simone texted, your sister's trending. I opened Twitter. Yayla's meltdown unfolded in real time. Her GoFundMe was shut down. Vendors called her out. She posted a photo of us from 10 years ago, me holding a cake, her blowing out candles. Caption, I didn't realize how much I took until she stopped giving. Too little, too late. Richard called that evening. His voice, for once, wasn't angry. It was small. Dory, we didn't know. We didn't mean for it to go this far. They never meant to get caught. The chaos didn't end overnight. Yayla's name trended for 3 days. Wedding blogs dissected her scam. Vendors shared their stories, and my inbox overflowed with messages. Relatives choosing sides, strangers asking if it was real, my parents alternating between denial and guilt. I responded to none of it. Instead, I adjusted the pillows on my Barcelona balcony, refilled my wine, and opened an email. Senior Strategy Director offer confirmed. I smiled. This time, the title was mine. No strings, no debts, no family dragging me down. Simone called. Your mom's crying on Facebook Live again. Yayla's hiding out. Oscar's lawyer says she's negotiating a settlement. You good? Perfect. I said, this wasn't revenge. Revenge is reactive. This was liberation. I didn't destroy my family. I stopped financing their delusions. They called it betrayal, abandonment, cruelty. I called it truth. A truth I'd swallowed for years, while they mistook my silence for consent. Yayla emailed one last time. I'm sorry. I'm trying to change. I didn't respond. Some chapters don't need closure. They just need to end. And this one was mine to write, from the first word to the last. But the story didn't end there. A week later, as I settled into my new role in Barcelona, a cryptic email landed in my inbox. No subject, no signature, just a single line. You think you've won, but you don't know the half of it. The sender's address was a string of random numbers, untraceable. I stared at it, my pulse quickening. Was it Yayla playing a new game? Oscar lashing out? Or someone else, someone who'd been watching from the shadow? I forwarded it to Simone. Weird flex, she texted back. You think it's her? Maybe, I replied, but something about it felt bigger. Yayla was messy, not calculated. This was deliberate, taunting. I opened my contributions spreadsheet, scanning the names and numbers. There was one entry I'd never fully investigated, a $10,000 0 cents wire transfer to an account labeled miscellaneous 3 years ago at Richard's request. He'd said it was for a business deal, but the account was offshore, untraceable. At the time, I'd let it go. Now, it nagged at me. I hired a private investigator, the same one who'd uncovered Oscar's debts. "Dig into this account," I told her, "and check if anyone's been tracking my movements." 2 days later, she called. "The account's tied to a shell company in the Caymans. No names yet, but it's active. Recent deposits, big ones." "And Dory?" "Someone's been pulling your credit reports. Not Yayla, not Oscar. Someone with serious resources." My stomach dropped. The email, the account, the surveillance. It wasn't just family drama. Someone was playing a deeper game, and I'd only seen the surface. I looked out at the Barcelona skyline, the city that was supposed to be my fresh start. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across my balcony. For the first time in weeks, I felt a chill. I wasn't done dismantling. But now, I wasn't just fighting my family. I was fighting something or someone far more dangerous. And they were watching.